Hello, everyone. Everybody's comes. Oh, it's how wonderful to see so many people. If you can, turn on your camera. We'd love to see your faces. Yeah, if you can. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully there's going to be quite an interactive session. And if you can't, just drop a note in the chat and let us know. How are we all doing? Look at all these faces. It's great to see you all. How are we all doing today? We good? We good? We good? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, middle. Middle. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome to our first online session, group coaching session. We expect it to be a really exciting one, a really good one. It's an opportunity for us to co-create, for us to start thinking about, for you guys to start thinking about your journey. Okay. I will speak to you, Becky. Sorry, I saw a note come up. Start thinking about our journey and what it is that we want to achieve this year. Before I jump into it, obviously there's loads of stuff happening with the industry. We had, was it yesterday? 100. There was a threat from America, 100% taxes and tariffs and all these kind of DNI on the decline, all of these kind of things. We should use this. I heard a phrase this weekend which I thought was really beautiful: contrast in inspiration. So, when things are going shit, we should be using that for an inspiration for what it is that we want. And I think that kind of leads really beautiful to what this session is all about. Before we jump in and I say hi to Remy, I just want you guys to put this in chat and then I'm going to bring Remy in. We all know and love Remy. But I want you guys to think about this. How do you guys want to feel from a year from now? I just want one word put in chat. How you want to feel. It's just one word. So imagine everything. You've got a fairy godmother and they're waving their wand and they're giving you everything you want and need. There's no challenges, no obstacles. Everything is perfect. Give me the one word that you would like to feel. Wonderful. Just get them in, let's get them going in chat. Rems, how you doing? How
I'm
are you?
great, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a good, it was bank holiday, but it's a short week, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't really have the bank holiday. I was in Copenhagen leading the Danish Film School's MBA program.
Ooh, wonderful.
Since this is a confidential space, I can share with you something about the Danish Film School's MBA program. Um, First of all, uh, there was only one person of color on the program. He also happened to be uh, gay man and he was disabled. So he ticked all the
Oh,
boxes
wow.
of diversity, and everyone else was blonde and Swedish or Danish or Norwegian or Finnish, and then me. But on the first day of the Danish Film School program, um, I was so depressed because I felt like it had gone so badly because I'd said at the start, I want this to be an interactive day. I want it's two-way, it's a discussion. And I ended up like talking all the time because no one answered when I asked them questions. They were all sitting there. It was like waxwork dummies. And at the end of the day, I was feeling really low. And as I was leaving the film school, this was back in November, the head of the film school came up and grabbed me and he said, "Oh, I just want to say this was the most amazing day. We've never been so moved and inspired in our whole life." I was like, "Are you sure it's me you're talking to?" He's like, "Yes. Will you come back?" I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure I want to." Anyway, I came back and did the weekend this weekend, which was the closing weekend of the MBA program, and it was exactly the same. It was like no questions, no Q&A, no back and forth. But at least I was used to it this time. And they said, "Yeah, will you? We loved it so much. It was so amazing. It was the best day of the whole program. Will you come back and lead it again next year?" Anyway, I said yes, but I'm not sure I will. This is all just a preamble to saying, let's be interactive. Let's tell each other what we're thinking. Let's have this be two-way because it's exhausting when it isn't.
And
Sorry.
also the fact that sometimes when you show up, you feel that you show up in a one way and actually people receive it in another way. I don't know. On
That's
social,
also true. Yeah,
yeah,
my God.
yeah, on socials, we did the thing about somebody turning down a job and then it turned out that that wasn't the right opportunity for them. So all of these things are helpful. Remy, I am loving what I'm seeing in chat. I'm seeing words like vital, stable, success, secure, recognized, happy, fulfilled, confident, focused, gassed. I love that, gassed. Upgraded, upgraded, we should unpack that. Fulfilled, nourished, assured, powerful, respected, succeed, unstoppable, successful, invincible, fulfilled, successful, stronger, zen, Janet's asking you the name of the and somebody's in Morocco. So yeah, lots and lots and lots and lots of wonderful words that really sum up how people feel and a really good starting jumping off point for kind of looking at what they want to achieve for the year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and Janet, yes, the answer is yes, but that's in confidence, whoever Janet is. Yeah.
Dear, dear. No problem. No problem. Good. Go. So do you wanna kick off with the goal setting, Rams?
Goals. Well, we're going to talk a little bit, just tiny little bit before we start about coaches and the coach
Yes,
selection.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Actually.
So we talked a little when we met about how any you could put your finger on the coach page and just put your finger at any place and you'd end up with a great coach, someone who would understand you and be able to support you on your journey and who would be a great choice. So there's no bad choices and there's no wrong choices, but obviously it's important that you pick someone who feels like the perfect guide for your journey. There is no perfect guide, by the way, but as close as it gets for you. Pick the person who you think is the closest match to you and send their name in to Temi. But I also want you to pick another name, your first equal. So there are two top choices. So don't even think of it as first and second. We'll try and give you the first name you've given. But we may end up having to give you the second, and it won't be because you've got a less good coach as a result. It's just they may have got oversubscribed sooner. So the sooner you send your selections in, the quicker we can match you up. Give us one name is your first choice and the second name is your second choice. Then what will happen is Kemi will send your email addresses to the coach and also their email address to you, and you need to then email them and set up your first session with them. And your first session will be your first session, but it's a discovery session. So if for some strange reason you have a bad reaction to each other or you don't feel like it's the right coach for you, we will allow you to switch. But if you switch, you will have one fewer sessions with the next coach because we've only assigned 8 sessions with each coach. So it hasn't really happened. It's only happened a couple of times ever out of 250 people. So it's not a regular thing. But sometimes someone says something triggering. Do you remember something triggering that once happened, Simone? I think a coach,
Yes,
once
I'm
said, do you want to say it or shall I?
Yeah, I'll show before I share that, just to let you guys know that I've put the link to the coaches list in chat. There are some updates, so there's some coaches coming on. We've got a couple of more coaches that we've got to upload. So just if you go on there, you don't like go straight now during this session. You need to kind of give us an hour and everyone will be up on there, just to let you know. We had a coach, I think one of our coaches referred to a black lady and said she might, what was it? She had a
He said, I think you've got a bit of a chip on your shoulder.
no, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Chip on your shoulder, and obviously, as a black woman, that could be quite triggering. Seems quite triggering, and not necessarily understood. So I think there was a miscommunication. He was trying to point out something that she didn't receive well, and preferred not to work with that coach. But on the whole, people have really good experiences with their coach. If at any time you feel uncomfortable or something's happened with the coach, you can come to me and tell me, and I can kind of go back and talk to the coach or talk to Remy. It's also important to know that what happens in your coaching sessions are private and confidential. So a coach might say to me, "Oh, speak to Rima about whatever," but she's never going to give me the details. I'll never have the details of what's discussed in the session. So they're really safe spaces. And just lastly, I guess the coaches they don't care. They're biased. They're unbiased. They don't care. They don't really care. They just want to see you meet your intention and keep to your truest self and see you be your best. They don't really care about whether you should take the job and if it impacts on your mortgage and stuff like that. They don't have those personal thoughts about you. They just care about you being intentional. That's right, Remy, right? They just
Yeah,
care about
100%. And I think a couple of you have asked questions of Kemi, particularly, or Temi
them.
rather, Temi, about what's the difference between a coach and an advisor or a guide. what some people in the industry call mentors. And it's a really important difference. So it's going to take a minute just to talk about that. So like Simone said, your coach is like a coach in sports, right? They're there to have you perform as well as you possibly can, and they're there to help you get clear about what you want. And their only agenda is your agenda. They don't have an agenda for you. They don't want to see you become Director General of the BBC. But if you want to be that, then they'll help you get there. Okay? But they'll help you get there through how you interact with the world. They don't, what the coaches don't have is like industry address books, contact lists. They're not there to help you with anything that is transactional. They're just there to help you be you. And it's a safe space, it's a new space, it's a creative space, it's an energizing space. You'll get a lot out of it, but they are not business coaches. They are coaches to help you perform better. Your guides, who we want you to recruit, and we'll talk about this separately in a session, but your guides and advisors, you should see them as like your personal advisory board. Like if you were running a company, you might have a board of advisors. If you were running a project, you might have a group of advisors. What we want each of you to have is a whole bunch of people, at least 3, who are further down the road that you want to be on than you are. So anybody who has more experience doing something you want to do is a good guide. They don't have to be a lot older. They could be the same age or even younger, but just further down the road than you are. The important thing is that they bring something to the table. You might be more experienced than them in a lot of ways, but they might have a certain kind of experience that you really want, and that makes them a great guide. So if there's some area of experience that you want more of and you want to accelerate that, you pick a guide who's further down the road than you are, and you say, will you support me? Will you teach me? Will you guide me? Will you give me some help? Will you give me some introductions? And that's how the guides work. But they're not coaches, and the coaches are not mentors. So does anyone have any questions about that? Because I'm happy to answer them, but we will have a session about aligning your guides and picking your guides and bringing together a book of but does anyone have any questions about coaches or the difference?
Before, oh,
I have a
actually,
question. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead and then I'll say my thing afterwards,
Yeah.
please.
Is there what's the deadline for choosing your coach?
1 week from today.
Okay, right. Sorry if you said that already and I missed it.
No, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
Say it, so it's a good question. We didn't say it. And I was also going to say that hopefully this session will help you think about maybe this jump off conversation you're going to have with your coach, because it will kind of help with your kind of goal setting, and also definitely help when thinking about your guides. We will do a separate session with guides and help you reach out and help you think about how to identify those guys. I'm not gonna match you with mentors. You guys are grown ups. We don't do that here. We're gonna encourage you to reach out to people and expect you to do that, but we're going to give guidance and support. And Remy has got a fantastic email template. Everybody talks about it. I use it all the time, not just to find guides, just all the time. So he's going to give us a little template on how we can reach out to people, and it will be transformational when reaching out to people in general. But we'll do that session coming up soon. Yeah, wonderful. I'm going to be quiet, but as we said, please let us know or send Temi, Temi, not Kemi, Temi, Remy. I've got too many Remy's and Temis and Temis.
We
But let's
don't
send Temi your choice by next week, Wednesday, please. Your first choice and your second choice, and we'll start that matching process. Wonderful.
Great. So today, I hope all of you have somewhere to write, because this is going to be a writing day. Because what we want is for you to come away from today with some really clear goals. And those goals will be helpful for your coach. Be super helpful for your coach. They'll be also helpful in your conversations later with your guides. So I'm not going to ask you to just come up with goals. That would be too boring and too challenging. I have a fun exercise that I do with clients to help them figure out their goals, and I'm going to do that fun exercise with you. And before we do it, I'm just going to share with you why I think it's useful and important to be clear about our goals. Success looks different to each one of us, right? For some people, it looks like a Netflix series. For some people, it looks like a commissioning role. For some people, it looks like finding the work that they love. And in every area of our life, success looks a little different to each of us. But I think often we're all sold on certain ideas of what success looked like. Even my examples were kind of ideas of what success looks like to other people, like a commissioning role or a Netflix series. Maybe success would look like having 6 hours a day to myself, or being able to read a book, or teaching kids. So success has to come from you in order for it to feel good, because otherwise, if you're living into someone else's idea of success, you might achieve it, but it doesn't bring you joy. So it's really important to look at what you feel it would be for you. Because very often we define success by what other people achieved and we didn't, right? Oh, they sold their company for millions. Oh, they started a tech company. Oh, they took a year off to go to Australia. And we think that, oh, that would be success. But the thing is, unless you say what it is for you and define it as success for you, how are you ever going to achieve it? Like if you'd never started a tech company, how are you going to sell it for millions? So it's super important to define for yourself, especially as we go into this year, what a successful year would look like for each of you. And then you can get other people to support you in arriving there. So before we do the exercise, does anyone have any top line questions about goals and success? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes. Just close your eyes for a minute and maybe have a deep breath or two. Just breathe in for 2 and breathe out for 2. And just continue to breathe in and out really slowly with your eyes closed. And now I want you to imagine that you're about to wake up on the 6th of May, 2026. So you're lying in your bed 1 year from now, a whole year in the future. And you're in that lovely space between sleep and waking, and you're anticipating the day ahead of you. And the day that is about to unfold ahead of you is going to be a wonderful day, because it's just been that kind of a year. Things have gone your way. The universe has been aligned. Opportunities have arrived. You've met who you needed to meet. You've attracted the guides who you needed to have in your life and your career. And things have worked out for you the way you hoped they would. So you've had a wonderful year, and you're about to wake up for a wonderful day on this year. And I want you just to think about all the things in your life that are now present that you're grateful for. At work, what projects are you working on? What people are you working with? What's the environment that you're going to be working in today as you get ready to face the day? Where will you be going? What will you be doing? Who will you be with? Just think about that, the projects and the people that are bringing you joy. And think about what you've achieved over the past year that has brought you to this place of contentment and fulfillment. What are some of the milestones? What are some of the outcomes that you've achieved? What are some of the things you've made happen? What are some of the things that you've manifested? And don't just think about your work life. Think about your work life, of course. Think about the money you've earned. Think about the promotions you've had, the projects you've won. But think also about your home life, your health, your fitness. What have you achieved? What have you made possible in the world in the last year. And think about your relationships, think about your friendships, think about your family. What has shifted? What has moved? What have you made possible that you're grateful and happy for in the past year, in between May 2025 and May 2026? Now I'd like you just to open your eyes and just take a moment just to write down for yourself some of what has been made clear to you through that visualization, some of the outcomes you want, some of the achievements you've made, some of the things you've made possible. Just make some rough notes for yourself so you don't forget. I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to just make some notes about what a wonderful life would look like over the next 12 months for you. It's a kind of scene setting exercise for the work we're going to do together in a moment. Great. Okay, with that little visualization over, I would like you to begin a letter, which I would like you to write from yourself 1 year in the future. So you can go ahead and date it. What is the date today, in fact? Is it the 6th? Was I right? The 7th. Date it the 7th of May, 2026. And it should be to Simone and Remy. Dear Simone and Remy. It's going to be from you. Now, the first thing that I would like you to write in this letter is how you're feeling, right? Because how you feel is super important. So I'd like you to write, it's great to be feeling so, and then just write how you're feeling. Here are some examples of what leaders have written in the past. It's great to be feeling so excited, energized, proud, balanced, fierce, unstoppable, motivated, empowered, brave, out of my comfort zone, fulfilled, like an actual superwoman boss, inspired, hopeful, buzzing with creativity, in control and creatively fulfilled, full of excitement for every day, confident, self-assured, enterprising, grateful, happy, proud, limitless. Take your pick, some of the words that you'd like to use to embody how you're feeling, and just write it down. That's going to be the first couple of lines of your letter. It's great to be feeling so, however you individually want to be feeling. You can have it be as zany as you want. I love that person who wrote like a crazy superpower boss.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes, don't be sorry. Questions are great. We don't want to be all Nordic here.
Okay, I've dropped off the camera just because my Wi-Fi is really bad, but are we writing the letter from the present or are we writing?
No, you're right. You're imagining that it is May the 7th, 2026, and you are imagining how it feels to be in that space. And the good thing about it is you can have it be however you want, but hopefully how you want is for it to be great, right? You want to be feeling awesome. So your version of awesome is up to you because like it occurs differently for each of us, but right but you're writing it in the present tense. So you're writing it as though it's May 2027, but you're imagining that. So, hey, Simone and Remy, it's great to be feeling so proud, fulfilled, excited, creative, whatever you want to feel. That's
Got
just
you.
the first line. Yeah? All
Thank you.
clear? Perfect. Okay. Is everyone done with that, with how they want to feel? Is anyone not done? Wave at me if you're not done. I'll give you a couple more minutes. Yeah, Jessica's not quite done. A couple of other people not quite. Right. Just commit to how you'd like to be feeling a year from now. If the words are words that land for you, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to pick feelings that inspire you and that you'd like to live into, how you'd like to feel a year from now. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to do that. Great. Okay. If you haven't entirely finished it, you can finish it later. But what I'd like you to do next is to imagine looking back at the successes you've had over the last year. In other words, the year that's actually in front of you, but the year that you're looking back on from 2025, from today to May 2026. What are the successes that you've had at work? What are the milestones? I'm going to be asking you each to write 3 achievements, successes, milestones for you in your professional life. Achievements and events that would make you feel a year from now that you've enjoyed real staggering success. And the key thing here is for you to be a little scared, a little terrified of your list. If you're thinking, oh, this is all so easy, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and I've pretty much already done it, those are not the right things to put. Put things which actually would really feel like success to you. If it's too easy, you haven't been ambitious enough. And on the other extreme, if you're thinking, I'm never going to achieve any of that, then the goals you set are probably a little bit too extreme. So we don't want you to put, goals which you've already achieved and already in the bag and seem really easy. And we don't want you to put things which are kind of, completely nuts. I am going to be a billionaire by May 2027. That's not going to happen, right? So I'd like you to each write 3 goals that you will have achieved in the coming year. So maybe if you're writing the letter to Simone and myself, how you might want to frame it is, I am so proud of how I have achieved this. I am so overcome with gratefulness for how I have managed to do this. Whatever it is that you've achieved, frame it as part of the letter that you're sending from the future to us. Is anyone not clear about the exercise? 3 goals in your professional or work life which would define success for you. I'm so thrilled with how I am now earning 100 grand a year. I am so pleased by how I've been consistently employed. I am so proud of how I managed to deal with periods of being unemployed. I am so proud of myself for how I navigated the downtimes in the year. Whatever it is you're proud of, write it down. And let's just for now have three goals in the area of work and career, which could include money, right? So money, career, work, 3 goals in that area that feel like real milestones and achievements to you a year from now. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to write down those goals. May seem like a long time, but that way everyone will have written down 3 ambitious goals. And when we come back from that 10 minutes, I'd like to hear what you've written down. So just 10 minutes to list your goals. Does anyone have any questions about that? Is everyone cool? Great.
Sorry, I just wanted to check. Are we supposed to be writing on the work front, Remy? Has he gone?
Yeah, absolutely. On the work,
Just the work. Oh, okay, cool.
work, career, and money. We're going to do home life in a minute.
Work, career, money. Okay, thank you.
And sorry, I've got another question as well. Are we writing also what we've done to achieve that yet, or are we doing that later?
Not yet. Not yet. This is just the outcomes and the goal, the outcomes and achievements. What you've put into the world, what you've made happen, what the results are. not what you did to achieve them yet.
Thank you.
Okay, well, those of you who are still continuing to work on them, continue to work on those 3 work achievements or goals. I'd love to hear from some of you who finished what you've put down. So just wave your hand, and if I can see it, or in fact, just speak, just go ahead.
I can go quickly. I might have to quickly turn my camera off. Someone's watching my twins, and they've been having a meltdown for half an hour.
You want
So,
to come back in a minute and share in a minute? Would that be better?
yeah, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
fine. Sharuna, you were waving.
Well, hi. I just
Hi,
be brave and jump in.
thank you.
Quite embarrassing to say all this out loud.
Please have it not be embarrassing. These are your dreams and your goals, and sharing them is inspiring for all of us.
Okay, so I've said that I'm feeling very brave and ambitious and proud of myself because I've finally been able to leave my job at Look North and start a new chapter, long overdue. And in the last year, I've fronted and co-produced an arts and culture programme, which has been commissioned by a major streamer, and the BBC are also interested in me developing an idea with them. I've enlisted a shit-hot agent who's working with me to find other projects, other strings to my bow involving writing and broadcasting. And I've been able to meet some brilliantly talented creatives, and we formed a production company together to try and make our ideas happen.
Great, thank you so much. All of them are tangible, measurable goals, right? They're all clear things which you'll be able to look back at 1 year from today and say, yeah, I did that, or I didn't do that, right? You either left the BBC, you either pitched shows that you're fronting on the arts to Netflix, you either started collaboration with other creatives, or you didn't. So all of them are clear, measurable goals, and that makes them successful. That makes them good for this purpose. What we want is things which you can look at and go, yeah, I did it, or no, I didn't, rather than wishy-washy things which leave you ambiguous. So great job, Sharuna, on 3 clear, measurable goals at work. Who else wants to share 3 clear, measurable goals in the space of work and career?
Becky's got her hand up.
Wonderful. Hey, Becky.
Hi there. Yeah. So yes, this is you're right, it is quite exposing, isn't it? Right. So the first thing is to have a paid involvement in a particular production that's happening in 2026. It was my dream job in New York when I was living there. I never thought it'd be possible, but it's actually coming to London, and I will seize that opportunity.
Great. And what are the other 2?
To have one sitcom in development or production. And the second one is that I'll have launched my social impact strategy that I am currently working on.
Okay, you've launched a social impact strategy. You'll have come back to London, or you'll be in London to work on this amazing project in a paid way. Very clear, tangible, measurable goals. Who else would like to share 1 or 2 or 3? Yeah, Chike. We need you to turn your mic on. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Chike?
Yes, it's Chica.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, dear Simone and Remy, we're just doing the goals of the whole letter so
Oh,
far.
you know what? Treat us to the whole thing.
Dear Simone and Remy, it's great to be feeling so together, in control and trusted. I'm so proud of how I managed to get my film idea commissioned by Netflix, and it's causing a stir and getting lots of attention. I'm excited that the film that I edit produced was so well received that I've become such a trusted pair of hands in the edit, and I didn't have to cut on a series I really didn't want to work on just to get the chance. It feels like such an achievement to have met personally all the creative directors at list of companies I once admired from the outside, and now I'm high on their list of go-to people.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much. I think we have time and we would all benefit from one or two more shares of some goals. Yes, Aisha.
Hi there.
Hi.
My letter says, Dear Simone and Remy, it's great to be feeling so calm, content, and confident. I'm so proud and fulfilled of what I've achieved, and I wake up with so much excitement every day. So I've said that for my goals, I've directed a critically acclaimed scripted short film, my first foray into scripted. And I've been consistently employed as a senior level professional at a really exciting creative production company. I've made some series that I'm really proud of, including a feature series for Netflix. And this film and the series has opened so many doors for me, especially to work on more scripted productions.
Great. Thank you so much. One more share in the career and workspace, and then we'll move on to the next chapter. Elena, hello.
Hello. I've written, Dear Simone and Remy, it's great to be feeling so self-assured, full of joy and fulfillment, for living my best life in the knowledge that I'm inspiring others to live theirs too. And I'm really proud of being instrumental in securing a large commission with a big streamer as part of the senior team at my company to ensure the continuing success of the company and to help lead the charge into the comeback of natural history documentary making in Bristol, which leads to being officially made head of production and through recognition and acknowledgement, securing the higher salary that goes along with that I have respectively earned. And my third goal is to have been asked to moderate or speak at panels at Wildscreen or similar festivals, giving me further recognition amongst my peers about the crucial roles that production management hold and the importance of good mind health and well-being in our industry.
Great. Beautiful. Thank you. Does anyone have any observations about this exercise, what it's opened up for them or what they see to other people sharing? Anything that's come up for you as a result of doing this?
Yeah, I think it makes you sort of crystallize what you want to do, because I wrote a load down and I was like, oh, a 3. Just trying to put them into 3 rather than being over ambitious and trying to do about 1 million in one go.
Yeah, focus is important. I would encourage you to think about maybe having 6 goals. It's fine to have 6. I've really only set it at 3 for now because of time constraints, but I think you can have anything between 3 and 6 is fine. But like you say, once you get to more than that, it's like, where am I going to put my energy, right? I think it's also useful for you to know that once you have a big goal, any one of those big goals we've just heard, for instance, right? Officially being made head of production, we could take that as the goal. You put that in on a date. Like, when would you like to be officially made head of production? What's the date?
I guess by the end of the year.
By December 2025?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we put December 2025 at the bottom of the page, and we put officially made head of production. And then I would invite you to work up the page from that goal to list maybe 6 stepping stones to get there. So, like, what would be a useful thing for you to do tomorrow, Elena, to start making that happen? It's a safe space to share, but it's will be helpful for others to see, just the little micro steps, the pragmatic things that you can do right now to start making that happen.
I guess just making myself more present within the company itself. So I've talked to everyone anyway, but I guess it's formalizing it and structuring it a little bit more and making sure you're checking in with people officially
Yeah.
informed.
So who gets to make this decision about whether you are made head of production?
Our CEO.
Do they know that you would like to be made head of production?
I'm sort of interim head of production, but there's been no official word.
But my question was, do they know that you would like to be made head of production?
No.
That would be a really good place to start. And you can frame it however you wish. You can, but essentially what you want to do is say, have you got 15 minutes for us to talk sometime this week? And they will say, I'm sure, yes. And you'll say, as we move into this year and I start on this Breakthrough Leaders program, thought it was important for you to know that my ambition for this year is for you to have recognized me as official head of production by the end of the year. And they might be a bit taken back, or they might not. But then it would probably be useful for you to say to them, I would like to know from you what it would take for that to happen. And then you write down what they say. And those might become points 2, 3, and 4 on your list of stepping stones towards that goal. Because they might say, we want to see you mentoring someone, we want to see you taking on this project, whatever they say is fine, because that's what it will take to have it happen, and write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of good that I'm talking to you, Elena, because you are a head of production. So you understand very well that it's no good having a big goal without the stepping stones to get there. You can say, I want to book a house in Ibiza for 6 weeks to shoot this production, but that's not going to happen unless you've recce'd, researched, spoken to realtors. There's a whole bunch of, so every big action has a whole bunch of stepping stones, and that's the same for your goals. Every goal that you have needs to be broken down into at least 6 or 7 stepping stones that are much smaller, that will help you get there. So what I'd love each of you to do now is to take one goal that's on your list of 3 goals, one goal that you feel particularly passionate about, particularly excited about, particularly committed to, and then I would like you to put down on the paper at the bottom that goal, and list the dates that will happen. So, for Elena, it was December 2025. For you, it may be January 2026, or it might be October 2025, but put by when you want this to have happened. And then you can work upwards up the page or downwards from the top, putting things in date order of what you need to do. So first thing Elena needs to do, talk to her CEO, let him know or her know that that's what she wants. Then she needs to do X, Y, and Z that he says, or she might have ideas herself about what she needs to implement to make that happen. For each of you, it will be different, but usually it involves other people. Usually it involves communicating. Usually it involves setting things in motion that you need to do to make it a reality. Because no one's going to just wave a magic wand in November and say, Elena, you're head of production. They need to know you want it. They need to know you're in the running. They need to know that you've gone through the hoops to make it happen. And it's the same for each of you with your goals. So the next part of the exercise is just to write down as part of this letter, it will ultimately be for Simone and Remy, what I had to do to get there. To be made head of production, I had to, and then just list out the micro steps that you took on board proudly, with confidence, self-belief, to be a stand for yourself and make that thing happen. And I think it's the answer to your question, Chike, about, that's the part that you were going to do earlier, and we need to do that now. What did I need to do to make it happen? And just do it with one goal for now. What did I need to do to make this one goal happen?
Remy,
Gonna
can I ask a question, please?
Of course.
So for example, if you know, in order to achieve that goal, part of that comes with communicating with people in various departments. For example, you know, you want to do something for Netflix. Part of that might be speaking to a contact you have at Netflix or companies that are affiliated with making shows for Netflix. And if part of on that list, it's speaking to them and finding out what you would need to do in order for, you know, you to be viable for that position or for
Yeah.
that documentary, how would I articulate that in terms of writing 4 steps? If I know for a fact 2 steps is speaking to people, but I'd need to find out from those people what I would need to do to go a step further, what would then be the best way to articulate
Well,
that?
so yes, so some of your steps might be placeholders for now. In other words, I picked up the courage to speak to the head of documentaries at Netflix about what they're looking for, and they gave me 2 pieces of advice which I implemented, and then you just those 2 pieces of advice which you implemented become stepping stones 2 and 3. But some of the things you know you need to do because and you need to list the things that you know that you need to do, and the other things, yeah, it's just what happens in real life. So I wouldn't worry about the things that you don't yet know. You know it would benefit you to speak to these 3 people, list that out. Anything that you know, write down, and anything that you don't know, just know that you'll have something to do that you don't know what it is yet.
And it could also be that you need to find contacts or establish relationships. And so that might be a stepping stone before speaking to the person as well. So there's really break down or think, interrogate what is it that you need to do. If you don't know these contacts, how are you going to get in contact with them? How are you going to find the contacts? Things like that.
Is that clear? If it's not, we can happy to talk about it a bit longer. Okay, great. We're going to give you 10 minutes to do that. Okay, we need to probably wrap this up, and you can always finish in the extra stepping stones at your own time. Now you know the structure. Who's written some stepping stones that they feel happy about sharing with the group?
I don't mind.
Remy, go
Hello.
ahead.
I put about working consistently by September 2025. That's my goal.
Great. Okay, your goal
Uh,
is to be working consistently by September
yeah.
2025. And what are the stepping stones
Well,
starting from now, working back down?
starting from now, I put hang on, get a list of companies I want to apply for roles, but also I put have ideas to pitch as well as one of the spider links coming out of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a separate thing, right? So one would be identify a list of companies that are aligned that I'd like to work for, compile that list.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you to put a date by when you want to do that by. So when do you want to do that by?
I think by end of the month.
By the end of May 2025. Okay. And then 2 was, you just mentioned it?
About reach out to recruitment people as well, recruitment talent agencies, because I always see on LinkedIn there's recruitment and talent specialists for
Yeah.
certain construction
So
companies.
maybe 2 would be identify a list of recruiters and talent managers and HR specialists and have that done by the end of May as well.
Yeah.
And then the third thing was around developing some IP, some ideas to pitch so that you can come in with offerings.
Yeah, because I've also got a slate, so it's kind of like just finalizing my slate, which my own ideas to, which I always have. So it's kind of like getting those ready to take forward as well.
Great. So you might want to put that in as as a scheduled thing? Like, is it you want to develop 2 ideas a month, or you want to have 3 ideas ready by April, or by June? You need to write
Okay.
down when you want to have them done by and how many. It's
That's
super
fine.
important with these stepping stones, and indeed with goals, always to have how many, how much, and by when.
Yes, perfect. I think I might actually say maybe end of the month. End of actually no, September is good. And next I put email companies and meet potential employers. So an
Okay,
established
so
relationship.
let me just support you, because
Yeah.
everyone's learning through this. So don't just put email employers, put how many people you want to email by when.
Okay.
Email 50 people by the end of June. Whatever it is, put it down. And it has to feel like a lot, rather than like email 2 people by the end of the
Yeah.
year.
End of June. Okay, I put 30 people by end of June.
Great.
And then then I put like go to interviews and pitch ideas.
Again, by when and how many. So set up how many interviews and pitch ideas to how many people by when.
Pitch ideas to 10 people. By end of July.
Great.
Brilliant. Yeah, and then I kind of got a little bit lost between that and the next bit. I think it's just accept and consider offers in August, I guess. Is the again,
I mean,
I'm
the
quite sure how
the truth is,
Yeah.
you'll take the offers as they come. That's the truth.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
yeah.
So, but your hope is to have got regular employment by September. So it could happen at any time, and when it happens, you'll say yes.
Yeah,
All right.
pretty much.
Great. One more share of stepping stones.
I've got some, Remy.
Go for it.
Hello, nice to meet you all, by the way.
Nice to see you. You're JB.
Yeah, JB.
Got
Because my
it.
name's Jonathan Bartley, but it just sounds. I've never got on with it, so so I've always gone
Okay,
by
JB.
JB. It does the job. Anyway, so I'm currently working on a show, and my goal by the end of the year would be to get it recommissioned for series 2. So step number 1 would be to ensure series 1 demonstrates its strengths by being willing to adapt during production, staying true to our initial goals. And I'd say that is an ongoing kind of step, something that we're doing as we kind of shoot, willing to adapt and work towards the script. Number 2 would be to put in place some strategies to build audience engagement. This is like on social media, for example, maybe an IG page or something on YouTube, which offers behind the scenes kind of footage and whatnot. And
Okay, make that a little bit more granular. So if you're thinking of an IG page, say that and say by when and say what kind of content. So make it as granular and forensic and specific as you can, because this list will be useful for you to work from. It's literally the little steps you need to take one at a time to make this happen.
yeah, so an IG page by June that offers behind the scenes footage.
Great.
Number 3 would be to continue to build on strong relationships with commissioners and producers.
Okay. So sorry, just we're all growing from this, so it's no criticism of you, but make it as specific as you can. So continuing to build on relationships with commissioners, that's a little vague. But saying have coffee with Ed Taylor on Thursday every week is what I'm looking for. And obviously it wouldn't be every week, but names of people and what you intend to do to build those relationships.
Sure thing. I don't think Ed drinks coffee, but I'll find out.
Okay.
Number 4 is emphasize future potential in the show, continued storytelling, thinking long-term plan in place. And this would be to come up with a list of episodes that the show could then go on to in series 2 by the end of July.
Great. Okay, well, they're really clear stepping stones, and you make them clearer the more specific and measurable and granular they are, and having the dates attached is really strong and important too. What I'd like you to do before you actually send the letter to us is to complete that same section for the rest of your life. Because as we said when we met last week, you know, you are your biggest asset. You are driving this whole thing forward through your belief and talent. And so taking care of yourself and your relationships outside of work is super important. And you need to make sure that you are fed and well watered, right? That you are nurtured, that you are creatively energized. So if that means going to the gym 3 times a week, losing 10 pounds, gaining 10 pounds, seeing your mother every Friday, taking the kids to the park, whatever it is you need to do to feel balanced and whole and complete and energized and joyful and take care of yourself, write that down in the second part of the letter. So the first part of the letter we've just done, which is your career and your goals at work. And you can add to those, by the way, you can have as many as 6 goals. Bearing in mind that if you have 6, each of them needs stepping stones to get there. So it's quite a lot of thought and planning and focus, but you can have as many as 6, no more than 6, and no fewer than 3. And with your home and personal life, again, you can have 3 or you can have as many as 6. But even those smaller things or those personal things, probably some of them need some preparation and some groundwork and some stepping stones. So be prepared to put that in as well, because what we want to see in this first part of the letter is what success looks like to you in the rearview mirror from a year from now. So you're acknowledging all your courage and your bravery and your creativity, your resilience and your resourcefulness in having made these things possible for you in your life, and you're sharing them with Simone and I. And the final part of the letter that I want you to just work on now is around what has held you back that you've had to overcome. Okay, because I've just shared with you that you are your biggest asset, you are the driving force, you are the engine. That's all true, but you also are what's going to stop it happening as well, because your limiting self-beliefs are what makes this possible or impossible. So in the past, I'm just going to share with you, and you can make notes and get a sense of what I'm talking about here. In the past, these are some things which people have shared as things that they had to conquer. I have had to conquer a lot of self-doubt. I have had to confront my fear of speaking out in meetings for fear of being seen as incoherent or giving the wrong answer. I have had to overcome my fear of pitching my own ideas only to be told that the idea is bad or wrong. I've had to confront my issues with time management and a belief that there's simply not enough hours in the day to do everything I wanted to do. I've had to face my full-on fear of failure, originating in being bullied in childhood, which fostered a sense that I didn't belong, that I didn't deserve to succeed, and that I always had to please others apart from myself. I've had to overcome my fear of asking for help from those around me out of fear that this will be seen as a weakness. I've had to learn techniques to handle my nerves in group interview sessions. I've had to shed my imposter syndrome, enabling me to have newfound confidence in an array of situations. I've had to dispense with feelings of shame, of guilt, of embarrassment, that I don't deserve it. I've learned to manage my time to focus on what's really important to me. I've had to become more ruthless and less of a pleaser. I've had to learn to be resilient and be my biggest cheerleader. I've had to stop being so hard on myself. I've had to give up the idea that I have to do everything on my own. So what I'd like you to write in your letter to Simone and me from a year from now is what you, each of you sitting where you sit right now, have had to give up, overcome, conquer, shed in order to achieve these amazing goals. Okay, wherever you've got to is fine. Who is willing to bravely share what's holding you back? Jessica, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry if you hear babies crying in the background. They're okay. So I have had to stop dwelling on the things that have gone wrong and focus on what I'm going to do to make things better. I need to overcome my fear of being misunderstood and judged that comes coupled with the feeling of needing to people please and be secure in the fact that I know who I am and what I bring to the table. I need to find better techniques to manage my neurodiversity and mental health so I'm not only surviving but thriving. And lastly, I need to be resilient.
Beautiful. Really clear, and thank you for sharing. And by the way, super powerful to share that with your coach on your first session. That's the work for your coach. That's the work for you to do with your coach. You've got your work cut out for you. So in a sense, the roadmap that you need for your guides and your allies, your mentors, that's your goals, right? Your goals are what you want to share with the people who are going to help you get somewhere. What's holding you back is what you need to share with your coach. That's the stuff that you need to work on that's in your way. So really helpful, really generous, really great, brave sharing from Jessica on what's holding her back. Who would like to share what's holding you back?
Delma had her hand up before.
Hi, Remy. So I've put here, taking time to build organic relationships, taking time to build organic relationships. I find that quite challenging. But last week in the session, it was so invigorating. I took the leap of faith and connected with advisors that I think would be able to be brilliant along my journey, and asked them, and one said yes, and the other one's meeting me tomorrow to find out if she's going to be saying yes. So that fear,
Wow.
I overcame it last week. And yeah, so that's
So if you were thinking about bringing that to your coach as something to work on for Salma, what is it that holds you back from forming organic relationships?
I think I've been observing the industry for 10 years, and I'm watching people, and I know a lot of people, and I just watch how people navigate, and I listen, actively listen. And I think I don't really like networking, but I feel like when you're in different environments, like, I don't know, it could be a party, a home party, or you're invited somewhere, you have different conversations, you can just be cool, and things can just gradually progress. But in a networking situation, people always want something, is quite transactional, and I don't work well with that. I work well with just being easy. Take your time. And
so what I'd like you to think about is what's holding you back, right? What's your fear, and what's the challenge that you personally face? Because you're talking about the industry, but what's helpful to work with your coach on is where you're stuck, where you feel challenged, where you feel you're held back. And it could be I feel shy, or it could be I feel insecure, or it could be I feel intimidated, or it could be a whole bunch of things. We don't need to do it now, but I'd love you to look at what's the thing that's holding you back from forming organic relationships. You're a bright, smart, accomplished, lovely, articulate woman. What's holding you back from making those connections organically? Seem to be doing it really well here. What's holding you back in work situations? You don't need to answer now, but it's just something to think about. Nadia, you had your hand up.
Yes, I wrote down about the what I've got to do to help me achieve my dreams is write lists and stick to them, and not let myself be distracted by everyone in my family and all of their needs, and my parents' needs. Like, I seem to be looking after everyone while I'm trying to get ahead with my own career, which can be very distracting. So focus is key, and I will inform members of my family that this is when they can have my time, and the rest of the time they can't, because I'm trying to achieve something. So, like, putting up, I suppose, not barriers, but just rules or
boundaries, being boundaried, and
boundaries, that's the word. Yeah.
and treating Nadia like a third party, right? So very often we don't think of our own needs because we think they're unimportant, right? Deal with everyone else's needs, support everyone else's needs, serve the needs of the program, the project, the production company, my parents, the kids, but I come last. And the truth is, if you had someone just like you working for you, someone who is experienced and talented and creative, giving her time to you, you'd make sure that her needs were met because you wouldn't want her to leave. You wouldn't want her to resign. You wouldn't want her to go work for someone else. You wouldn't want her to burn out from exhaustion because she's your rainmaker. She's the driving force of your business, right? You need her on top form. And if she wasn't you, you'd have no problem saying, you can't bother Nadia between 9 and 5 because she's working on her own projects. You can't interrupt her flow on the weekends because she's developing new ideas. You would be really clear about those boundaries if it wasn't you. If it was a great, talented woman who just happened to be called Nadia and looked exactly like you, you'd have no problem. But because it is you, you just go, oh, put my needs last, deal with everyone else's needs. I'm not important. So you are not a luxury item that can be done once everything else is paid for. You're actually an essential ingredient to your own success, and you have to tend to that. So prioritizing your own needs is super important. And I think when you meet your coach, you should bring that up straight away and say, I've had a problem in the past prioritizing my own needs. And you can look at where that comes from and how that got there and what you can do to start prioritizing Nadia. She's great. She deserves to be prioritized. Right?
Great. Yeah, thanks.
Listen, our session is almost coming to an end. What I would love you to do in the next week is finish off your letters, have 3 goals at work, 3 goals in your home life. If you have as many as 6, that's fine. We're not going to, 6 is fine. As many as you feel you can manage. You don't need to break them all down into stepping stones for Simone and I for the letter. We don't need to know the whole process. But it's super important that you recognize that every goal, even something seemingly as simple as make more time for myself, requires absolute stepping stones. And tell my kids that Tuesdays from 9 till 11 is my time. It's always a list of stuff that needs to be done to make these simple goals happen. So it's up to you to decide what the stepping stones are to make your goals happen, but you can do that off letter. What the letter needs to say is how you're feeling, what you've achieved at work, what you've achieved at home, and what you've had to overcome to get to where you are. What you've had to work on with your coach to deal with. Whether for Selma, it's her fear of networking, or whether it's for Nadia, her inability to prioritize her own needs and serve others first. List those things. It'd be super helpful. Does anyone have any questions before I say goodbye? I know Simone has generously offered to give a few more minutes in the room afterwards, but I have a hard out at 2. Does anyone have any questions?
Mine was just about the home and personal life. So are we writing that in the way that we wrote the first paragraph? So we're imagining that our home and personal life is in a better place. And so, for example, I have had childcare sorted, or I have
Yes,
had,
yes, absolutely. What would it take? Because you don't exist in isolation, right? Your work self doesn't exist in isolation. So to achieve things in your work life, you need things in your home and personal life to be working too. And whether that's friendships or relationships with family members, or whether it's your fitness, all of those things impact who you are at work and how you show up. And so taking care of those things and recognizing them and implementing them into your plan is super important. Thanks for asking. Any other questions? Brilliant. Simone and I love getting the letters. We don't reply to them, but we love getting them. And we will read them with pleasure, but we won't reply. Just to let you know, this is an exercise for you to complete and for us to know that you've completed them. So it's important that you send them to us, and I will look forward to reading every single one from beginning to end. And I will see you at your next session, which is the first Wednesday of June. Can you believe?
God, we're in June already. See a lot of people are asking. Firstly, thanks, Remy. That was a great session as always. We look forward to seeing you next month, and obviously we can communicate. I love the way when you go dark and you come up, you kind of just slide up. It's quite cool. I don't know how you do that. I've been watching
It's
it.
my new computer.
Oh, very, very, very sexy. All right, we will see you. We will see you really soon. See you all next month.